Hello, Connecticut, and welcome to the Paid Leave Podcast. The title basically says it all. I'm Nancy Barrow, and I will be delving into this new state program and how it can help you and your family. This podcast will give you information you should know about Connecticut paid leave and maybe just a little bit more. Connecticut paid leave brings peace of mind to your home, family, and workplace. Welcome to the Paid Leave Podcast. Connecticut is one of the wealthiest states, but nearly 500,000 people don't know where their next meal is coming from. 1 in 8 Connecticut residents experience food insecurity, and the number of people considered food insecure in the state is greater than 470,000. My guests are Jason Jakubowski, the president and CEO of Connecticut Foodshare, the official Feeding America food bank serving the entire state of Connecticut. And he works with 120 employees and 6,000 volunteers. That's amazing to me. They are really the lifeline of the day-to-day operations. And Connecticut Foodshare distributes more than 40 million meals each year through the statewide network, 650 plus pantries, and some mobile distribution sites as well. Welcome to the Paid Leave Podcast, Jason.
Very happy to be here, Nancy. Great to be here with you.
So good to see you. My other guest is Maria Paredes, and she is a resident services coordinator with 13 years experience and currently serving at Monterey Place in New Haven. It offers affordable housing. As a board member of Connecticut Foodshare and a member of Connecticut Association of Resident Service Coordinators and Housing, she is a single mom of 5 and understands those challenges of parenting alone, I'm sure, and passionately works for those who feel unheard. Thank you so much for being on the Paid Leave Podcast.
Me. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so happy to have you both here. Jason, let's just talk basics about Foodshare for people who may not know about what Foodshare is, who you serve. Why don't you just give us an overview?
Look, I mean, Connecticut Foodshare has been around for more than 40 years. And, there used to be 2 food banks in the state of Connecticut. There was Foodshare in the northern part of the state, and there was Connecticut Food Bank in the southern part of the state. And then about 4 years ago, we did something that was really radical for a place like New England. You know, the land of steady habits. We don't like to change here in Connecticut. But our board did something really radical and figured out a way to merge those 2 organizations together. You realize that it's 2 organizations doing the same exact thing, just in 2 different areas. Mm-hmm. Why not find ways of combining our resources and helping to serve the whole state of Connecticut? So we did that. So about 4 years ago, we became Connecticut Foodshare. We serve all 169 towns. And I tell people all the time, there is at least one family in each of the 169 towns that is affected by hunger. And people will often say, I don't believe that. Connecticut's a very wealthy state.
Exactly.
And there's no issues with you guys don't have any issues with poverty here in Connecticut. That's just simply not true. We serve people in major cities, Hartford, Bridgeport, New Haven. We serve people in affluent suburbs, Avon, Simsbury, Greenwich, Darien. And then we serve people in small rural towns, Union, Cornwall, Kent. Yeah. I mean, absolutely.
Yeah.
Sprague. I mean, so there is no part of the state that is immune to what we're dealing with. And I get asked that all the time. Like, well, what part of the state is it the worst in? And there's no geographic there's no geographic difference. It's all over the place.
Yeah, it's all over the place. And as a board member, Maria, what do you see with Connecticut Foodshare? How has it changed and how's it evolved?
It's definitely grown. We're now addressing so many more things. We're talking to more people. We're involved a little bit more as opposed to where we were divided. Now we're addressing a little more of what each person is going to. We're talking to them, listening more. Which is important.
I think, that's super important, right? Like that you're listening to what their needs are. And they've changed, I'm sure. Yeah. And 13% more people are living below the poverty level in Connecticut, which means they need you more. So have you seen a growth in the need for Foodshare?
Oh, definitely. I mean, Feeding America does a national map the meal gap analysis every year, and they release these numbers in all 50 states every May. And this year, the number for Connecticut went up 23%. There was a 23% increase in food insecurity in Connecticut over last year. And people will often say, how is that possible? Unemployment is low. I don't get – usually when unemployment's high, that's when our services are needed. two things that we constantly hear, and Maria, you can talk about this too, because you're at our lines constantly.
Yeah.
But the two things we hear the most often. One is the cost of groceries. I mean, I just bought a box of Raisin Bran the other day for $7.50.
Eggs again.
Literally,
So the one is definitely the cost of groceries. The second is housing and the availability and cost of housing. That's what we're hearing.
It is.
And that's
It
what
is.
you do, Maria.
It literally is. As a resident service coordinator, I see the people coming in, and their Social Security, SSI, they're making $9.78 a month.
Yep.
Yeah.
A month, and
A
they're
month.
trying to pay utilities. I mean, we're subsidized, so. Of course, they're only paying 30%, but even only paying 30%, the grocery bill going higher leaves them even less available for the rest. And we're not talking somebody who wants an Xbox. We're talking
Right.
somebody who wants to pay the electric bill on time.
Yeah.
We're talking somebody who wants to be able to buy an extra box of cereal, and they're not really able to. And it's becoming more difficult. And every year, the cost of living, the apartment, the rentals are going up.
Well, and
it's-
that dilemma right there is exactly what we deal with. Is you have people who are saying, okay, I've got only a finite amount of money. Am I going to pay my rent? Am I going to pay electricity? Am I going to pay heating? Am I going to pay for medication? Or am I going to pay for food? And they look at that problem and they say, well, I can't go without paying my heat, my electricity, my medicine, my housing. I could probably go without a couple meals. I could go without a meal or two.
Or maybe I won't pay the electric this month, and I will get food.
Or I'll skimp on half of the electric. 'Cause, I made the effort, right? They won't chop me off.
Yeah.
And if you have children, you're kind of feeding them a little bit before yourself.
Of course, absolutely.
So when you're doing that, you're not thinking clearly. You're now juggling all of this. Your health is now going by the wayside because you can't pay the co-pays or whatever it is. So food is.
It's crazy. So both of you have 5 kids.
We do. We do.
Not together.
Separate. I was going to say separate. We have 10 between us. Separate. Separate.
So, Marie, as a single mom, that must be so challenging still.
It is. My daughter just gave birth to my grandson, and she was able to use the CT paid leave during her maternity leave. And they were able to assist her greatly. But that still left a little bit of a gap because of the food prices. Yeah. So she was able to come to my mobile and pick up and fill her cupboards and fill her refrigerator because the gap is still there.
Yeah.
I mean, we're grateful for what CT paid leave did because without it, there's nothing.
Well, and that's where we intersect, right? We're a family-friendly policy, and it's the same thing for you. You're worried about families here, you know, and we give income replacement. So there's that financial security. So you don't have to go hungry or worry about paying your bills or leaving your job if someone in your family is sick or you're sick.
Yeah.
I feel like this, Connecticut paid leave has been such a breath of fresh air. But
it's been a game changer for a lot of people.
It has been, right? And I just feel like, you don't have to choose between your job and someone you love. And I think that's sort of what you guys do, too.
And I think the other piece of it, too, is what you realize, especially with children, how many families with children are one paycheck away from finding themselves in a position in which they're food insecure.
And Maria and I were talking about that. Yeah. You really are one paycheck away from losing your house, losing wherever you're living.
Wherever it is.
And because like you said, housing has gone up exponentially.
Yeah. It has. An
everywhere
apartment
across
that was
the country.
about $750 4 years ago is now renting for $1,200 to $1,400. Yeah. Nothing changed. The apartment looks the same as it did 4 years ago. They didn't add chrome anything. Yeah. But it is now going for $1,200 to $1,400. And people, unfortunately, now have to double and triple up to try to make that and buy the food and just, like I said, live day to day.
Tell me the difference about your pantries and your mobiles, because I think that's really interesting.
Yep. So we have about 600 pantries across the state of Connecticut. They are all independently owned and operated. They are separate 501c3s. Sometimes they are part of a school. Sometimes they're part of a town. Sometimes they're part of a church. And about 80% of the food that we distribute every year is distributed through that network of 600 pantries. They go onto our website. They order food. We deliver the food to them. They distribute the food to local people there in those towns. We encourage people to utilize those pantries because when they're there, they're often it's not just about food. They also can put you in touch with healthcare services. They can put you in touch with clothing services, bank services, all of those types of things. So they really are kind of wraparound agencies.
Yeah, and a lot of families don't know that those resources are available. So when they go to a pantry, it's a benefit. Now they're being connected to the extras.
Yeah, we have no problem with using the food piece as the lure to get folks to come into the door to the pantries and then recognize, oh, wait a second, I also can do this, this, and this and get support for these things. Yeah. So about 80% of the food that we distribute is distributed through those pantries. The other 20% are distributed through our mobile programs. And Maria I always say she is the master. Nobody knows how to run a mobile site better than Maria.
I love the mobile.
We have 113 mobile sites across the state of Connecticut. And the good thing there is that, it's no questions asked. They run on, they're at the same place on every 2-week cycle.
Yeah.
And, people are able to walk up, even if they don't have transportation. They wait in line, and we're able to get them fresh produce. And obviously other products as well.
And you ask no questions. They don't have to show ID or anything.
No, they literally walk up, they line up. A lot of times they're meeting new people. They were able to leave their home for the first time for the day or whatever because they'd lost their job. This is their purpose. This is their contribution to their home. And they leave with their pride intact because they were able to contribute back to the family without having anybody question why they're there. They just bring a bag, and even if they don't have a bag, we provide it. We'll provide something.
Yeah. And dignity is a big piece of
big
that.
Time,
big
time.
We want, you don't want a situation in which somebody who's in some of the hardest times of their lives are suddenly, here you go, here's a bag of food, get out of here. I mean, if you go to one of the sites, I mean, you'd see people like Maria there, welcome, happy to have you here. What can I help you with? We allow people to pick their own food from among what is there. Dignity is a very important thing to us, especially since we know there's a stigma out there. There is absolutely a stigma out there. We see this at our mobile sites all the time. Some people will say, well, I came from 3 towns over because I didn't want to go to one of these in my hometown. I get that there's a stigma out there, which is why we're trying to break that stigma.
Let me ask you about the pandemic, because I think the pandemic, it evened out things because so many people lost their jobs. So many people were one paycheck away from not having their place, not having enough food, and I think, did you see a change in that stigma?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. We saw a change in the stigma, but we also saw a change in the typical client that we were serving.
Yes.
So during the pandemic, we set up a major food distribution at Rentschler Field, the home of the Huskies.
Yeah.
Go Huskies.
Go Huskies.
Yeah.
And we were there for about 18 months distributing food, and people would come in their cars.
Yep.
And the cars would go through, pop your trunk. We'd have volunteers loading the food in there. And it was interesting. We did a survey of those cars at the beginning of the pandemic, and we found that 73% of the households that were coming to that emergency food distribution had never used one of our services before. Right. And I think I remember when we talked to our board about it, we were floored by that because what it was showing you, these are people. Sometimes they'd come by with tears in their eyes. Sometimes they'd say, I used to donate to you guys for years. I'm so sorry that I have to use this service. Don't be sorry. But the story was always the same. They had a 5, maybe 6-figure-a-year job. Due to no fault of their own, the rug gets pulled out from under them. They have very little in savings. They blow through savings in about a month, and now they need. It was
eye-opening for a lot of them because they'd heard of it, like you said. They'd heard of it or contributed to it, but to be on this side, it was eye-opening. Like it was like somebody was able to drop them in the center of it, and now they got to see what other people experienced, what they had gone through, and now I believe post-pandemic, it didn't leave them.
Yeah.
It didn't leave them. Now they're sharing the experience. And now I think they're more inclined to, if something occurs, not only to share what CT Foodshare does, but they're more inclined to return. Yeah. If something hits the skids, they're coming back because the experience was so good because we didn't judge them. There was full dignity in there. So they're like, you know what, I'm just going to go there. I appreciate what they've done.
And one of the other things that we've seen too, and Maria, you've seen it, is that there also is this view out there that the pandemic's over. Everything is fine. Everything is, it's like the Wizard of Oz when everything goes back to black and white. I mean, it's just it's not. And And let's.
Nobody's the
I
same.
pray we never have to deal with an episode like that ever again. But we've returned to a new normal. We haven't returned to a normal.
We're not going back to that.
We're not.
So we have to now live with this. Like I said, me and my daughter, we go shopping and we now tally what we're getting because we're within this tight budget, but we need to eat. But so we, instead of getting the regular brand, we're now looking at that store brand a little more appreciatively, and
my grandmother used to have one of those little clickers. I remember when I was a kid, I'd go grocery shopping with her, and then she'd be like, okay, click this one time and click this one this many times.
Oh my God, I remember that.
Oh, okay, all right. So
I love it.
it's like we're going back to that. We got to go back to the little clickers.
It's
so
I'm happy you guys know what I'm talking
yeah,
about.
we do know what you're talking about. We're all the same age, I think.
I'm glad you know what I'm talking about.
I do. Tell me where you get your food. Do you use local farmers, or how? Where do you get it?
We do. I mean, anywhere and everywhere. 75% of our food is donated by the Connecticut food industry and grocery stores here in Connecticut. Our largest donor is Stop and Shop. Our second largest donor is Big Y. Costco, Trader Joe's, Whole Foods. I mean, Target is a great supporter of ours. When those places, we have a great relationship with the Connecticut Food Association, and when those members of the Connecticut Food Association have excess product, they don't want to throw it away, so they donate it to us. So about 75% of our food is donated. I'd say about another 20% comes from the federal government. The federal government has a program called TFAP, which stands for the Emergency Food Assistance Program, in which they provide free food to us that we are obligated to supply to individuals that are in need. And then I'd say the last 5% we purchase. One of the hardest things that we've seen since the pandemic is we have never purchased more food than we have over the last several years. And that's one thing that has not returned to normal since pre-pandemic. We've been purchasing a lot of food. The good thing about purchasing food is you have more control over what you're getting. You can buy culturally significant foods. You can buy specific types of produce. The downside is you have to pay for it. So, and look, I mean, Maria knows. I mean, we're a nonprofit, and we have a budget crunch every single year, and there's got to be a balance between how much food can we purchase, and we also have to distribute the food too.
Yeah.
What about cash donations? Do you raise money?
Yes,
that way.
Absolutely.
So tell me how people can, or how that has helped you.
So the good news during the pandemic is that we had never raised more money. The bad news is we had never spent more money. So we're very supported by the people of the state of Connecticut and by corporations here in the state of Connecticut. They always step up to the plate. Our donations have definitely gone down since where they were at the peak of the pandemic.
Yeah.
But I think one of the things that we try to impress upon people is, because of our purchasing power, if you have food to donate, you're always better off donating food to your local pantry. If you have money to donate, you're always better off donating money to a food bank like ours. So, for example, Nancy, you go to the store with $1, you could buy a can of soup for $1.
Right.
If you gave $1 to us at Connecticut Foodshare, we could buy 20 cans of soup for that, because we're buying it by the truckload.
So money talks.
Money,
yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Money, absolutely.
Every time.
Yes, it absolutely talks, and it is every dollar that we raise, we can turn into 2 meals for people across Connecticut.
Wow. What about food inequity? Like, you were saying that you kind of, get food for specific cultures and stuff like that. Let's talk about the food inequity.
Yeah. I mean, look, the old way of doing things in food banking was you collected edible product, and if you happen to get something that was culturally relevant, congratulations, you win. If not, sorry, you're out. And I think one of the things that we've seen now is that there's more demand for specific things, whether it's, halal meat, or whether it is kosher or something specific. Again, the upside is we're able to purchase those things and get more specific products. The downside is we have to pay for it. But there is absolutely a disparity in the state of Connecticut. 1 in every 4 white residents in Connecticut is 1 in every 11 white residents in Connecticut is food insecure. 1 in every 4 non-white residents is food insecure.
Tell me about the campaign Thanksgiving for All.
Thanksgiving for all. That's our favorite time of the. That's our favorite time. That's our favorite time of the year. Our goal every year is to collect and distribute 50,000 Thanksgiving meals for families across the state of Connecticut. There's definitely more need than that, but 50,000 is what we believe we're able to supply, and that's frozen turkeys, stuffing, sides. All of
tradition.
Traditional. Thanksgiving is one meal a year, but it's a big meal.
It's a significant one.
It's a significant one. And just because people don't have access to food doesn't mean that they shouldn't be able to enjoy the most American of all holidays. So, our team's been working for the last several months. We start planning in July. It's quite the endeavor. And right now, we're ready to go. We'll have different collection points across the state. The couple weeks before Thanksgiving, we have Bank of America Turkey Tuesday, and then we have the Jack Bannon Turkey Trot, and we have Stuff-A-Bus, and we have other great events where people are able to donate a turkey. They also can donate a virtual turkey.
Yeah,
they go on our website, and if you don't feel like going out and lugging a big turkey, you can donate you can donate the cost of the turkey, and we'll go out and buy the turkey for you. But 50,000, I mean, that's the number of Thanksgiving meals we're trying to help provide people across the state of Connecticut.
That's a lot of people.
It's a lot of people, and it's not 100% of the need.
No, it's not.
75 to 80% of the food banks in the country do what we've been doing for 15 years. So we have a great team of 3 staff members and numerous interns and great volunteers that what they'll do is they will help residents go through that very cumbersome government application in order to be able to access SNAP benefits.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I know you guys, Nancy, you see that in Connecticut paid leave. I mean, there's a lot of similarities there in that how many people don't know that the benefit exists? I mean, we do. We know that it exists, but there's so many people that, wait a second, I didn't know that even existed.
Yeah.
So half the game is awareness, and then the other half
outreach.
is outreach, and just letting people know that, hey, this benefit does exist. Government's providing it for you. And then the other half is helping people navigate the system and how they go through it and how they figure things out.
It's interesting because, Maria, you told me you used it yourself.
I did. I unfortunately had an accident in December, a car accident, and it took me out for a little bit from the job I love and I want to stay with. So CT paid leave. I mean, they literally walked me through it. They advised me what I needed, how to do this, and they were able to assist me. I was able to be out of work for about 2 months, and there was no hiccup. I was able to still pay the rent. I was able to still, do what I needed to do in order to get back on the road. So CT paid leave literally helped me immensely. And the ease of it was the best part because you're already dealing with so much from the accident.
The trauma.
Yeah. So to have someone on there to walk you through that was such a great relief.
I'm so glad that it was easy to navigate for you. And that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
You're paying into the program. We want to give you those benefits when you really need them.
Yeah.
Not only does it provide a service, but it has also changed the conversation for many employers, such as mine. And so again, I'm talking here as the head of a nonprofit. I'm also an employer. I employ 125 staff members, and we have, and our board has adopted and adapted our own HR policies to kind of keep pace with where the state of Connecticut is. When I started 7 years ago, we did not have a maternity leave policy, for example. I mean, you could use your PTO, and obviously you could use FMLA. Now we have a 16-week maternity policy and paternity and paternity leave policy. So again, those are things that what I would say are, the indirect advantages of what you all have been doing over the last couple of years.
How can people help with Foodshare, and how can they get in touch with you?
Go to ctfoodshare.org. That is our website, brand new website. It looks great. Our team did a really wonderful job on it.
Easy to maneuver.
Easy to maneuver.
I love easy to maneuver.
Easy. We wanted to make it as easy as possible. So ctfoodshare.org. You can sign up to volunteer. You can make a donation. Or if you're somebody in need, or if you know somebody in need, you could send them to ctfoodshare.org to find out where our pantries are, where our mobile sites are. We list all of those things. And obviously, if you're in need, if you can't remember ctfoodshare.org, you can always call United Way of Connecticut, 211. Dial 211. We update them every day in terms of what's open and what's not, and what is available. They're great partners of ours. I love what I do. I love what we're able to do. Even on bad days, I get to go home knowing that we did something good for the people of Connecticut. Our staff is terrific. Our volunteers are terrific. Our board, and I'm not just saying that because Maria's sitting next to me
Not
here.
at all, yeah.
We have a fantastic board of directors. They are 19 volunteers. They're not a corporate board. They're not getting paid. I mean, they're volunteering their time to helping us do what we do across the state of Connecticut. But it's a labor of love for a lot of us, and the ability to be able to work with places like Connecticut Paid Leave and other state agencies is essential, because we do recognize that food is one issue, but it's just one issue.
Correct.
The people that we're serving are the same people that you're serving, and the same people that DPH are serving, and the same people that DSS are serving. Right. We're all part of the same universe. How do we break down those silos, and how do we continue to serve the people of Connecticut?
To empower them.
Yeah. Maria, any advice you can give a single mom with 5 kids who may be where you were, that you were using Foodshare and now you're on the board? It's an amazing story, really, honestly, it is.
Be open to it. Be open to accepting that help. Be open to walking up to a mobile and just having a conversation with anyone on there. 99.9% a volunteer fully understands exactly what somebody in that line is going through. They've gone through it. And that's why a lot of them volunteer, because they get it.
And there's no shame.
Not at all.
And there's no shame. This is what we're here for.
My final question, Jason, that everybody's waiting to hear.
Oh, boy.
Thanksgiving Day at your house with your wife and 5 kids. Turkey or no turkey?
Thanksgiving is at my mother-in-law's house. I will point that out.
Okay.
She absolutely serves turkey. I will tell you, by the time we get to Thanksgiving Day, just give me a ham or lasagna or something like that.
Some fish.
Throw out a pizza and anything. I can't. By the time we get to Thanksgiving Day, I can't even look. I can't even look at a turkey.
I was thinking that myself.
Can't even look at a turkey. Just actually skip the turkey. Bring on the pie.
Yes.
Just go straight.
Start with dessert.
Go straight to the pie, and I'll be fine.
I'm a dessert girl myself.
That's it.
I want to thank my guest, CEO of Foodshare, Jason Jakubowski. Thank you so much for being
Nancy.
on here. You're so
Happy to be here.
good with what you do.
Thank you.
And thank you. And Resident Services Coordinator Maria Paredes for all the incredible information and what you do. Thank you for being on the board of Foodshare. I think, you are a real success story.
I appreciate being here. Thank you so much.
And thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
To get in touch with Foodshare, go to ctfoodshare.org. To get in touch with Monterey Place in New Haven, you can go to montereybc.com. And for information or to apply for benefits, please go to ctpaidleave.org. This has been another edition of the Paid Leave Podcast. Please like and subscribe so you'll be notified about new podcasts that become available. Connecticut Paid Leave is a public act with a personal purpose. I'm Nancy Barrow, and thanks for listening.